You can't crave sugar.
No.
It's not fair. So essentially, very often people, for example, if you don't mind me using your example, people will crave crisps thinking that it's the salt that they want. My husband does this, he used to. But actually, it's the essential fatty acids that are missing in your diet. So there are various things that you'll learn on how to control your cravings. Because you see, if you never control your cravings, you're always going to be the person that is out of control. And remember, we talked about control as an issue. Being in control of your own body is such an important part of living this healthy lifestyle. And basically, what we do, and what I teach you to do, is to learn why dieting doesn't work. So just raise your hand for me if you've been on a diet. Yeah. Jill doesn't, because Jill's beautiful and slim. Okay, so raise your hand if you've been on more than one diet. More than 3. I've tried every diet. I've tried shout out some diets that you've been on. The grapefruit diet, the cabbage diet.
5-2.
The 5-2. What else have we tried? Slimming World.
Weight Watchers.
Yeah, so there's a whole range of them, isn't there? Now, unfortunately, what happens is that, I don't know whether this happens to you too, is that we go along to these things and we lose weight. Yeah, and we're all very pleased about that. And then we start eating normally again, and what happens? We put the weight back on.
And more.
And more. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So, unfortunately, would you agree with me then that potentially dieting doesn't work? Do you agree with that? Yeah. Okay, now actually it's quite interesting that Weight Watchers, the CEO from Weight Watchers was interviewed on the television about 18 months ago. And actually he confessed that Weight Watchers, the system is set to fail. The whole process is set up so that it fails. Because they want you to keep going back, because that's how they make their money. I thought it was an extraordinary admission. I don't know if he's still got a job, frankly. So what we do within this 5-part solution here is we look at why diets don't work, how you can control your cravings. So there's 5 parts within this stable solution, as I called it, that goes through why diets don't work, how you can control your cravings, how you can actually avoid the falling into the obesity trap, how you can even turn around things like type 2 diabetes by eating properly. And then you'll feel like actually you have the knowledge that you need to be able never have to diet again. Wouldn't that be a wonderful position to be in? Never having to diet again. Because it's depressing, isn't it? I don't know about you. I'd like to think about, no, don't think about this. I don't want you to think about a yellow mini. Whatever you do, don't think about a yellow mini. Who's thinking about a yellow mini? Okay, so I'm going on a diet, so I'm not going to think about eating chocolate. What am I going to think about? Chocolate. Eating chocolate. So as soon as I used to go on diets, I would just think about food all the time. Do you do this, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, we all do this. Because as soon as you start denying yourself something, your body craves it, doesn't it? So with this stable solution, you're never going to have to do that again. Okay. Now, a big part of what I'm going to do when I work with you, and what I do with my clients when I work with them, is talking about cleansing the body. Now, we live in a very toxic world, ladies. Very toxic world. Unfortunately, we have a system that was designed many, many years ago, thousands of years ago, that had lots of fresh air. It wasn't exposed to pollution. It wasn't exposed to chemicals that we put on our skin. It wasn't exposed to herbicides and pesticides and preservatives in our food. It wasn't exposed to the hormones that are in our water supply, because we're all on HRT and the contraceptive pill. We had this lovely charmed lifestyle where everything was fresh and clean. And our bodies then used to be able to do a natural detoxification. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Yeah. But now we live in a very, very toxic world. The 21st century is a very toxic world for us, which means that our livers and our cleansing systems are very, very overloaded. So until you understand the principles of why we need to cleanse the body and how we cleanse the body, you will never, ever, ever lose weight and keep it off. You might lose some weight by shrinking your fat cells, by starting out on some calories, but then as soon as, and this is what happens, is as soon as you then start eating normally, the fat cells plump up. And we're going to go through a little bit about how this works a bit later on so that you can understand. So this part of the program is called the Healing Blueprint. Okay. This part of the program is really, I call it care, because if you're not looking after yourself in various different ways, then you will also be the person that is going to struggle to have that healthy lifestyle. Now, what do I mean? Now, you know I'm a Pilates teacher, so one of the things that we talk about is actually what exercise that we all need to do. Would you agree with me that we all need to move somehow? Pilates might not be your thing. You might want to swim, or you might want to run, or you might want to jazzercise, we were talking about earlier on, whatever it is. So we all need to move. So there's the care of our own bodies that we need, that part of it is about fitness. But we also need to take care of what's going on in here. Because with the best will in the world, if you're eating the right things, and I'm going to teach you how to do that, and you're filling the gaps in your nutrition, I'm going to teach you how to do that. If your mindset is, I'm never going to lose weight, this isn't ever going to happen for me. And actually you've got other people saying, well, you've tried dieting before and it's never worked. Guess what? What you say to yourself is probably true. It's a bit like, have you heard the expression, you are the result of the 5 people you spend your time with? So if you've got the naysayers saying, oh, you know, you'll never get into that lovely dress you've got in the back of the wardrobe, or you shouldn't actually, you know, you shouldn't go on that program because you've tried all of those other programs before and they've never worked. So actually, working on your mindset and your own self-belief is a big part of the program. Because until you can actually be in a positive frame of mind, your body recognises this as stress. And guess what? Stress is a toxin. Have you ever been in a situation where you say, I'm going to start a diet, but I'm not in the right frame of mind now? Have you done this? I'll start it tomorrow. I'll feel better tomorrow, so I'll start it tomorrow. Is that just me? No, you're all smiling. Okay. So this part of the program is called the Action Accelerator. So we're looking at fitness, we're looking at caring, and ladies, we are also talking about you putting yourself first. Raise your hand if you're a mum or you've got a mum. Okay, what are we really rubbish at? Putting ourselves first. We tend to be the bottom of the pile. You heard my very short story about my health. My health went down because I was definitely the bottom of the pile. I was looking after everybody else in my world, my family, you know, my children, my husband's needs, in terms of me working when I didn't really want to. I was looking after my elderly father. We're in this situation now where we've got the young and the elderly population to look after. I was looking after my friends who were going through a divorce. I was looking through my colleagues who were being threatened with redundancy. Nobody was looking after me. And least of all, not me. So this is part of the Action Accelerator, is learning how to actually prioritise you as well. Okay, control. We talked about control earlier as well. So, raise your hand if you have breakfast in the morning, please. Okay, so we've got some people who don't have breakfast in the morning. And raise your hand again if you have breakfast and it tends to be something like cereal or toast, something like that. Okay, so this part of the program is absolutely critical, because once you understand how to get control of what you're putting in your mouth and when, you are never, ever, ever going to forget it. Which means that when you do this 6-week program, you're never going to have to do it again. You're never going to have to do a Weight Watchers course again. Because once you've got the principles and you understand how to gain control and put the proper foods in the proper proportions into your body, you're never going to forget it. I can't tell you how excited I am for you, because it is so simple. Honestly, losing weight is really, really simple when you know how to do it. So this is about control. So I called it the portion pathway. Now we do look at portions, but we also look at the combination of why you need certain types of foods. So let's shout out some types of foods. So we've mentioned carbohydrates already, this lovely lady here. What other types of food might we need? What other types of nutrients do we need in our diet?
Protein.
Protein, yeah. Minerals.
Fibre.
Fibre. Essential fats, you get a gold star. Anything else? Yeah, probably about it really. Vitamins, minerals, amino acids, those kinds of things as well. So actually, the portion pathway part of the program is teaching you how to combine these foods so that essentially what we're doing here is stabilising your blood sugar. Most people who've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes do not understand why they have it. They've never been told. And essentially what happens is that when you have a lifetime of eating without understanding this, is that your blood sugar levels are going up and down and up and down like this. And this is what is causing your cravings. Particularly for that person that starts the day with carbohydrate-loaded breakfast, so cereal, toast, those kind of things. It sends your blood sugar up, and then it crashes back down. So I don't know if you've got kids. Have you got children, or you know a child? I've got 3 children. I used to do this. I'd give them cereal for breakfast, and actually they'd have cereal, and then by the time I got them in the car, they'd be completely hyper. Get in the car. And they get to school. I bet I was 9. And that's because I've given them basically a whole ton of sugar for breakfast. That's what I've done. I just as well have scrabbled up a packet of biscuits and put some milk on it and given them, because it's full of sugar and salt essentially. Sends their blood sugar up. By the time I get to school, it's down here. And this happens to you too as adults. And then basically you have something else for lunch. Your blood sugar goes up again. By 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're probably wanting the biscuit or the crisps or the craving things that you've got. By supper time, you're then going, oh, your body's just going, just feed me, because actually I've been on this roller coaster all day. This is not your fault. It is not your fault that you are overweight. I'm going to say that again. It is not your fault if you are overweight. Because basically, once I teach you how to stabilise your blood sugar, you will be in control of what you do here in the evening, and what you do in the evening, particularly when you're craving that bit of chocolate or whatever it is. Does that make sense? Because it's not what you do throughout the day, it's what you do, it's not what you do in the evening, it's what you do throughout the day. And once you learn the principles of combining healthy fats, thank you, protein, the right kind of carbohydrates, then you will never ever have this fluctuation again. And we can even turn around people with newly diagnosed type 2 diabetes. Because effectively what's happened is that you've worn your pancreas out. Your cells become what's called insulin resistant, and that leads to diabetes. So it may be that a lot of the population who are clinically obese are already in that insulin resistant state. It's not good to be a diabetic, is it?
It's awful.
It's awful.
I'm controlling by diet, or trying to.
Yes, good for you.
It's very hard.
It's very hard. And you know, there are things that if you don't control your diabetes, you can end up with sight issues, with joint issues, with circulatory issues, even loss of limbs for people that are severely diabetic. So it's not a great place to be. But once you've done the portion pathway, you'll never ever have to worry about this, because you will have absolute understanding of how you can not only control your own diet, but also those that you know and love around you as well. And finally, this one is to do with the toxicity issue that we talked about earlier on. So the chemicals that are around us. So let's think about some chemicals or toxicity that we've got in our diet. I talked about herbicides and pesticides. Anybody else got some things that might act as toxic to our systems? Some obvious ones. Parabens, yeah. So a lot of people that use, apparently the average woman uses 500 chemicals on her skin on a daily basis, apparently. By the time you've washed and showered and put your makeup on. That's scary, isn't it? So. Okay, so parabens, yeah. Sweetness.
Pollen.
Pardon?
Pollen.
Yeah. What other chemicals are there that we're being exposed to all the time? Ones that we've got in our glasses. Alcohol. Cigarettes.